how can you create such a clear, vividly detailed from something that happened so long ago? It's a question. It's a valid question for me because I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. So seriously, it's beautiful. Both are beautifully written. How do you have journal? Okay,
Yes.
okay, go ahead.
Yes. Both
Yes.
of us have journals.
Yes.
Both of us have journals. I started writing a log because, I'm on a boat. I'm supposed to write a log. That's a thing, right? So every night I would write, here's where we went and here's what we did. And as the journey went on, I was, as Judy's discussing in her situation, I was becoming aware that I might be a writer. So as I was writing these log entries, they became sort of little stories or little essays, or they would just go on and on for no reason, or they would be poems or what have you. So yeah, I had like 5 notebooks, and I was able to go back to them, which was very good when my editor would say, well, I don't understand where you were or what this was, and I could go back and say like, yeah, that really was what I did, and that really was that day. But also there was times that I had to condense things together that might have happened a week apart, just to make more sense. They were still things that happened, but just, slightly different. But yeah, the journals, I couldn't have done it without that.
Yeah. And I was keeping a journal because I've always kept a journal. I've been a journal writer from as soon as I could hold a pencil. And so because I was traveling alone, because I didn't know anybody, because I didn't know what I was going to be doing tomorrow or later today, my journal was my companion. And I drank a lot of coffee in a lot of cafes and took my journal with me, and I wrote every day and every night, just pages and pages. And I still have those journals, and I'm so glad that I do still have them. I didn't know that I would ever use them again. But when I was writing and as I say, I had been writing kind of all along, so some of the stories weren't brand new from, memory, when did that happen? I took a night train to Split probably 4 different times, and writing about it in different ways, each time a different fiction or something. But my journal served as, they had the facts in them, they had the names of places, people that I met, they had every cup of coffee that I drank and a name of every cafe where I drank it, and the songs, I had a playlist going on. And so, but I didn't use those journals originally. I said, I wonder how memory works.
Wow.
And what will I remember, and what does memory have? I think I was going to maybe write a hybrid, like do a little research about memory and how it works, and then what we remember as we write about it. And then I forgot the hybrid part and just wrote the memories, and I did not write it in chronological order. I just every morning I would open up my notebook, and I didn't know what I was going to write about that day, and I would write about whatever I wrote about that day. And then after many drafts along, it is, okay, now, was that really in Budapest, or did that happen in, Kyiv? Where did that take place? And so my journal became kind of like the log, right? Where I would have these facts and figures and dates and all of that stuff. And I also ordered on eBay old Let's Go Europe, Europe on $40 a day. You can still get those books. And so I got those, and so when I couldn't remember something and it wasn't in my journal, I had those travel books, which were really very helpful. And there's nothing like Google Images. Although I had a lot of photographs too, still from then, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I was thinking that is very similar to the experience I had, which is I didn't really want to write a book based on journal entries. I didn't want to write a book based on we went here and then we went here and then we went here, because I had been editing books for 20 years by now, right? So I know that kind of doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work to just say we did this and we did this. So I sat down and said, okay, I've got these pieces that have been published in different places, and how would these things be strung together? What else, in other words, what was memorable? What were the most memorable experience I've had? And some I'd already written about, but some I hadn't. And so I never went back to the journals until later when I was rewriting
Yeah.
and I would have questions from my
Right.
editor, or I would try to fill something out. I would be looking for a sensory thing to add to a scene, and so I would go like, oh, it really was humid that day, or it really was windy that day, and that would help me. But I agree, it's not really taking a journal and turning it into a story. It just becomes a tool.